Hello and welcome to the Index Investor, where we break down the building blocks of index investing. Today, we're talking about something that sounds simple but can make a big difference: choosing the right index. What are you really buying when you invest in an index fund? To help us decode that, we have with us Nipunn Madan. He's senior consultant at 3i himself. Welcome, Nipunn.
Hi, ma'am. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Let's begin this conversation with the basics. So, why does the Nifty 50 have only 50 stocks while the Nifty 500 has hundreds? What's the thinking behind how an index is built?
We can have n number of indices. It is the top 50 stocks by market cap and float that represents Nifty 50. And whereas Nifty 500 consists of all your large caps, mid caps, and small caps. So it will cover your all broader picture. Whereas Nifty 50 will give you your blue chip stocks. For example, there is an investor who wants to invest into Indian markets but don't want to take much of risk. Though equity investing in itself is a risky proposition, but he or she does not want to invest into some small caps or mid caps where the risk can be very high. So for them, Nifty 50 will represent top 50 companies, and these are those 50 companies which are very well researched. Research is being done on these companies by almost all research analysts. Whereas if you go down the lane, mid caps and small caps, so their research analysts will cover, few of them will cover and few of them will not cover. So these 50 are the indices where everything is being covered. So this helps you to reduce your risk somewhat, or you may say you can reduce your volatility somewhat. So this is what there is a thinking behind Nifty 50. For Nifty 500, for example, India in itself is if you can say globally, it has almost 4% of market cap. So in itself, it's a small cap country. So you can see there is a plethora of IPOs coming. So we are basically a small cap company, a small cap country, and we'll have so many stocks which will become mid cap and multi-bagger later on. So Nifty 500 represents all those stocks where we have large cap, mid cap, and small cap. It is a real diversification that you can see is in Nifty 500, whereas Nifty 50, you will see top 50 stocks.
Okay. And when an investor chooses between something like the Nifty 50 and Nifty Next 50, so what are they really buying, and how should one think about broad versus focused indices?
When an investor is going for Nifty 50, he's trying to invest into the index where companies have shown decent growth in the past, and you can say a decent compounder going onwards. Less risk, blue chip stocks. Whereas next 50, you will see a lot of potential. Those 50 stocks which can come into top 50 if they show growth. So next 50 is where you will see the next growth, and so risk level goes up if you go into next 50. But as we say, higher the risk, higher is the expectation of returns. So in next 50 you can expect better returns, but with the caveat that risk is on higher side. So if an investor is a new investor, he or she should go to Nifty 50, and next 50 should be like satellite strategy for them. But with time, if you have a long-term horizon, then next 50 can be added slowly. Yeah.
Right. So what about sectoral or thematic indices like the IT or infrastructure? Are they good long-term bets or better used tactically?
So for me, these sector funds or thematic funds these are tactical things only, because for example, if a sector has been beaten down and you want to get some alpha, then you can go into that sector. But sector funds are more of tactical plays. It cannot be your core strategy.
Now, some indices, they are market cap weighted, while others are equal weighted or factor based. So, how do these structures actually change the return and risk profile?
It does change because this is a very good example that I can give it here. If you see US markets, primarily though US markets are doing extremely well since last 1 year, but it is the top 7 stocks which are guiding that market. So what happens basically, those stocks are weighing almost 60-70% in their indices. Where if you see equal weight, then you will see the returns would have been trimmed down. So what happens basically, if a stock is doing well, its weightage keep on increasing. So whereas equal weight is more of a diversified way of investing, and market weight can be sometime more of a momentum type of weight that can come.
Okay. We also hear about strategic indices like dividend yield, low volatility, and so on. So, do these really add value to an investor's portfolio or they just add complexity? What's your view there?
So all those funds, factor-based funds, they can be more of tactical plays, but I don't think they try to increase risk-adjusted returns. But I don't think they can be a part of a core strategy. Your core strategy should be like Nifty 50, Next 50, or large mid cap. But those factor-based or those ESGs of the world that can not basically add more of a value. They can give somewhat risk adjusted return, but cannot be core part of your portfolio.
Right. So, if I already invest in one index fund, how do I make sure that I'm not overlapping too much when adding another one? So, can investors end up doubling down without realizing it?
So basically, the biggest myth in our country is to have n number of funds to diversify. So when you are choosing index, that's what I'm saying, that when you are choosing creating a portfolio, your core strategy should be a mix of Nifty 50 and Next 50, and rest 10-20% you can add as a tactical play, risk adjusted plays or tactical plays, because in momentum and your value alpha, those type of funds, you will have stocks which are already part of your portfolio. So overlap will happen there. So that you cannot avoid if you want to invest into those type of products, because that came. This what are factor funds? Basically, factor funds try to be actively passive funds. They do management actively, and basically the core is passive ones. So they will keep on rebalancing maybe 6 months, 3 months, depending upon the indices. So you never know which stocks will be there. So overlapping cannot be avoided if you are choosing those type of value added products. So keep your core 80% into Nifty Next 50 type of product, and rest 20% you can keep over there.
Now, before we wrap up, one last question. For someone looking to build a long term, all weather index portfolio, what's your one piece of advice to the investor? How should they approach choosing the right mix of indices without overcomplicating things?
So basically, if you see Nifty 50, those are your blue chip stocks. Next 50 are your where we have the potential which can be a part of your Nifty 50. So you can keep this as your core strategy. But the biggest mistake that we do, rather than choosing index, how to choose a index fund, that is also very important, ma'am. Whether it is tracking error, expense ratio, AUM liquidity, these things also do matter when you are choosing, when you are creating a portfolio. So keep your core into maybe top 100 stocks, and rest 20% you can keep in momentum or whatever, wherever the alpha is there. And keep in mind those small things, whether tracking error, tracking difference, expense ratios, so that can have you can have a very solid long-term portfolio of index funds.
You mentioned tracking error, expense ratio. So, what role do they play in choosing an index fund?
Okay. So basically, these are 5 or 6 things that when you are choosing an index fund, you have to keep in mind. The basic thing is the tracking error. So what is basically a tracking error? It is basically the volatility that how your index fund is tracking the index. So for example, if we have a Nifty 50 and there's an index fund, so, if Nifty 50 has given say 10% returns and your fund is not giving 10% returns, it 8 or 9. So that is the difference is basically the tracking error. So we have to keep in mind tracking error. So lower the tracking error, better it is. Why do we have tracking errors? Because sometimes index funds have to keep some cash and there are some redemption pressures. So there we can have tracking error. And basically the funds which are having low fund sizes, low AUMs, there we can have slightly more tracking error. The second most important part is expense ratio. That is the difference when we are choosing an index fund or an ETF. ETFs are basically exchange traded funds where we are having very low expense ratios. But in index funds, sometimes we have seen that expense ratios have gone higher. So that can impact returns over the long term. And then a brother of tracking error is the tracking difference. So what is the actual long-term gap from the index? Those volatility, those long tracking errors, how much gap that has created? That is tracking difference. You have to see whether in the long term, Nifty has given say 15% and this index fund has given 13.5. So that is the tracking difference that have to keep. And the fourth point, very important point, which I discussed earlier also, is AUM and liquidity. So we need to have funds where there is a decent size of AUM, because smaller sizes we have seen the tracking error is on the higher side. So if you are choosing a fund, you have to keep AUM and liquidity in mind. And the another basic thing that you have to keep in mind, the how much rebalancing, how this AMC is able to do the rebalancing, whether it is able to do the rebalancing properly or not. Generally, quality fund houses do this very efficiently. So in the end, I would like to say that the best index fund is one that tracks its benchmark most efficiently and most cheaply. So these are 5 or 6 points that I think are very important.
Right. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you, Nipunn, for joining us and helping us understand what really goes into choosing the right index and how investors can make smarter and more informed choices. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you so much, ma'am.